Hi everyone, I hope you're doing really well. If you're little, you might want to watch the video of Nehemiah before you listen to this little video. And um, anybody who's watching this video might want to look up Nehemiah chapter 3 before they watch the video and have it open while you're listening to the video. Gus is talking about Nehemiah chapter 3 today as well, so we thought we'd look at it together. In Nehemiah chapter 3, we find that Nehemiah has been really sad because he's realised that the city, which was once a really special, important city with God's people in it, has been lying in ruins for a while. And the actual city has been built back up. Different people have built their own houses back up. But the walls of the city are just lying in heaps of rubble. And Jerusalem was a beautiful city with really strong walls that were protecting the whole city. They were big, they were thick, they had beautiful gates, strong gates, and actually they honoured God by showing just what a strong city Jerusalem was. But God's people had let them just lie in ruin for a long, long time. And Nehemiah hadn't realised that before, but he went and he saw the city and he realised just what a mess the city was in, and it made him really sad. And he wanted to be able to honour God and to please God by building up the city walls again, to put them back to what they used to be. But he couldn't have done that himself. The walls were too big, they were too tall, they were too thick, they were too far round. The city's a big city, and he couldn't have done it even with his friends for help. So he asked God for his help, and he wanted to do this for God. And what he needed to do was get the whole city, all of God's people that were living in the city of Jerusalem and round about, he had to get all of them to join in to help. Otherwise it would never happen. So do you know, in chapter 3 we find that he did manage to get everybody involved. And we find in chapter 3 that the way that they decided to build the city walls again was to split them up into little bits. And each family group took a chunk of wall or gate and built it up again. So the first family started at the sheep gate, and they built up the sheep gate and right along to the first tower. And then another family took over at the tower, and they built the next bit of the gate up until the next bit of the wall up until the next gate, and then another family took over. And so it went on. And there would have been lots of people in the city who did know how to build walls and build gates, and they would kind of had to have been in charge, because there was lots of families who did not have a lot of experience in building walls and gates, but they were willing to get involved because they knew it was going to involve everybody, and they wanted to please God and they wanted to honour him, and so together they would build the walls. So there's a few in the list of family members, family groups who helped build the wall that I thought would be interesting just to look at for a minute. So first of all, I noticed that the family of Tekoa had leaders who thought they were too important to get their hands dirty picking up bricks and stones and building a wall. They wouldn't help. But you know, the rest of the family, not the leaders, but the rest of the family knew how important it was to do something for God and to be part of this rebuilding that everybody was mucking in with. And so they joined in even though their leaders wouldn't. And then there was another family further along the wall, and they were goldsmiths. They worked with metal, they worked with precious gold, making beautiful things. And here they were, building walls. And next to them, even more surprising, were people who made perfume. Can you imagine if your job was making perfume and suddenly you had to go outside and help build a wall? But they were willing to do it because they knew it was going to honour God, and they knew it was really important to do that together. And when we honour God in what we're doing, we do the best that we can in what we're doing. It's worship. When we're living, doing our best to honour God, it's worship. So that's why the perfume makers and the goldsmiths were in there doing their best, because they were wanting to worship God and honour him. Then there was a man who had daughters, And they worked together, the family of the man and his daughters, doing a bit of the wall. Now that might not seem surprising to us, but actually in Nehemiah's day, girls would not have been building walls. It just wasn't something they would do. But this man had daughters, not sons, and so the girls knew how important this was. He knew how important it was, and so they got together and they worked really hard. And actually, it's kind of nice to see a bit of girl power, isn't it? And next we find priests. That jumped out at me as well, because priests were used to praying, they were used to speaking to God on behalf of the people, they were used to leading services of worship, and here they are out helping with the wall. Again, they knew that it was really important to honour God, and they knew it was important to do this together, and they knew that it was worship. Not the kind of worship they would normally lead, but it was all part of worshipping God. And then the last group that I noticed were the shopkeepers. They weren't out selling their stuff. Instead of selling stuff and making money, they were busy helping with the wall efforts as well. And in chapter 3, we don't get to hear what happens in the end. I'll let you into a little secret. The wall does get finished. But at this point, we just find out that everybody's mucking in and helping to build. And it's a wonderful thing for Nehemiah to see at this point that everybody is willing to do it. Everybody's willing to be involved. Because, as I say, Nehemiah couldn't have done it on his own. He couldn't have done it with his friends. It was only because all of God's people wanted to get together and work together and do their best with what the gifts and talents that they had. And they wanted to honour God and to worship him in this way. That was the only way it could happen. And something amazing and something huge happened that none of them could have managed without each other. I think there's something we can learn in that, isn't there? I had a couple of questions for you. The first thing is, and you can pause at each question so you can answer it and chat with each other. But the first question is, have you ever done anything as part of a team that meant that you could do something big and amazing? So have you ever done something as part of a team that was pretty cool and amazing that you couldn't have done by yourself? And here's a question for whatever grown-ups are in your house, mums, dads, whoever. Ask them if they have ever done anything together with other people that love Jesus, God's people. Have they ever done anything together to honour God? Something, again, that they couldn't have done by themselves, but working together, they managed something amazing for God. And here's the third question. Can you think on anything that you are part of that is lots of different families from lots of different parts of, lots of different places. I'll just say that just now, don't want to give everything away. Lots of different families coming together with lots of different talents and gifts, willing to work together, willing to honour God together, so willing to worship God together and do amazing things for him. Can you think in something that you're part of like that? Well, I hope your answer there was Knightswood Baptist Church, because Knightswood Baptist Church is just exactly like that. It's full of different people from different parts of Knightswood who love Jesus and want to serve him and honour him and do amazing things together. We like to work together, don't we? We like to be together, and at the moment it's a wee bit tricky for us to do that. But I thought it would be good this morning just to remember how thankful we are that we do have each other, that we're all part of one church, and that we do achieve amazing things because we're all together in the one church. So I've got 3 things that I thought you might be able to do this morning. You might not do all of them, but you might just choose one of them to do. But here's the first one. Why don't you get your art and craft stuff out and make some pictures or some cards and make them for people in the church. Choose some people in the church that you are really thankful for, that you're missing at the moment, maybe that you've not seen for a while. Maybe it'll be somebody that helps you learn stuff on a Sunday morning at kids' church, or well, I'm not going to suggest anything. You can choose who you're going to think about. But what I would like you to do is choose a lovely picture, do a nice card, but inside, and do you know what? See, even if colouring in and drawing's not your thing, you could still do a card, because writing inside it is a really important bit here, I think. A beautiful picture on the outside will really make people smile if they receive it in the post or through their letterbox. But tell them inside why you're sending them a card. Why are you thankful for them? What do you think they bring to Knightswood Baptist Church? That's a good one to think about and talk about. Here's the second thing. Get yourself a jar, and you can decorate the outside of the jar. You might write on it, thankfulness jar. And inside the jar, you're going to put the name of every single person in the church. Now, mum or dad or whoever's in your house will have a list of the people in the church. And you can write their names on little bits of paper, or maybe in little love hearts, or whatever. You can be as creative as you want. But you're going to write them, maybe draw a picture of them, whatever you want, and put all the names in a jar. And then each day, why don't you open that jar and take out a few, or maybe just one name, and thank God for them, and tell God why you're so thankful for them. And the third thing, well, it's a challenge for this afternoon. We were talking about building a wall, we were talking about working together, and how we can achieve bigger things when we work together. So, challenge for the afternoon, get out your Lego or your building bricks or whatever you've got, and get everybody in your family together. Doesn't matter what age you are, if you've still got Lego in the house, you dig it out and let it be a fun challenge this afternoon. See what you can build together, every member of your family together, trying to build something together. And then once you've finished, I'd like to see a picture of it. Send me a wee picture of whatever you've made, and I'll post it on the family Facebook chat, or you could post it there yourself. But let's see what we can achieve when we work together. So Lego challenge, or thankfulness jars, or sending some cards to people. Have a really good afternoon. Let's just give thanks to God now before you go for Knightswood Baptist Church. Father God, we just thank you so much for everything that we've learned this morning from reading Nehemiah chapter 3. We thank you that when everybody works together to worship you together, to honour you together, we can achieve so much more than we ever would on our own. Thank you that you make us and create us to be working together. Father, it's hard at the moment because we can't meet together, but Lord, we are still part of Knightswood Baptist Church family, and we love each other, and we want each other to remember that we're thinking of them and that we're thankful for them. So help us to be able to do some things this afternoon that will help encourage each member of Knightswood Baptist Church. Father, thank you so much for our church and for our family. We love it, and you love the church, and we just want to just tell you thank you again. Father, bless us as we do whatever we do this afternoon. Thank you for Sundays. Thank you for church. Thank you for loving us. Amen. Have a good day.